From eagles so big they could eat babies, to shark-eel hybrids that could eat you from the inside out. Here are 10 of the craziest animals you'll be happy are extinct. 10. Anomalocaris. How would you like to be swimming in the ocean, minding your own business, just trying to have fun with a couple of friends, when a shrimp so big it could eat you came out of nowhere and started gnawing on your leg? If that sounds absolutely terrifying, you'll be happy that the Anomalocaris is long since extinct. This terrible beast lived in the oceans 530 million years ago during what scientists call the Cambrian explosion. The Anomalocaris gets its name from the Greek, meaning unusual shrimp. It was a master predator and lived in the oceans all over the world. Fossils from the Anomalocaris have been found in Canada, Greenland, China, and even Australia. That's basically every corner of the globe. So, just how big was this monster shrimp? It could grow to be over 6 feet or 1.8 meters long. It had specialized eyes with thousands of lenses to give it obscenely perfect vision. Not only that, it was a fast swimmer and had front limbs with sharp and spiky segments. Combining all of these attributes, the unusual shrimp was a seriously formidable predator. It was essentially the size of a modern shark and even deadlier. Rather than having rows of sharp teeth, the Anomalocaris had 32 overlapping plates, and these plates may have been used to efficiently crush prey. The Anomalocaris is most closely related to crabs and lobsters. At the end of the Cambrian era, when 90% of life on Earth was eradicated during the Great Permian extinction, these large and terrifying shrimp, thankfully, went extinct. 9. Stethocanthus. The Stethocanthus was very similar to modern sharks. It was a kind of cartilaginous fish that lived 370 to 345 million years ago during the late Devonian period, and then into the Carboniferous era. It actually looked quite similar to the great white shark. The biggest difference is that it had an outrageously large dorsal fin that looked like an ironing board sprouting out from the top of its head. The part of the horse saddle that you hold onto while riding to keep your balance, the horn, well, that's exactly what the dorsal fin on the shark looked like. It's totally bizarre, and apparently it was used as part of a courtship ritual. Scientists know this because they've only ever found the top dorsal fin on male sharks. Even stranger is that the fin was covered in scales that were kind of like teeth. Scientists believe this was to make the creature look more frightening, since other animals would think it had 2 mouths. Yep, I think that would do the trick for me. Other than having a weird dorsal fin, the Stethocanthus was pretty normal for a shark. As you can clearly see, sharks have not changed that much since they first appeared on Earth. They have changed in size and shape, but they've remained pretty much the same. The Stethocanthus actually wasn't as voracious of a predator as some sharks. It spent most of its time in shallow coastal waters, hunting for fish, small cephalopods and crustaceans. And it was also migratory and would usually return to the same places when it was time to mate and have babies. 8. Haasts Eagle. The Haasts Eagle was a nightmare predator that used to live in New Zealand. According to New Zealand Birds Online, it was the biggest eagle ever described, with a wingspan of up to 9 feet or 2.7 meters, and a total weight of almost 40 pounds or 18 kilos. That is significantly larger than any eagle alive today. Its body and wings were that of a giant eagle, and scientists say that it had legs and a bill that was stronger than any vulture species alive today. This means it had the ability to snap through bones with a click of its beak. They also had claws and feet roughly as large as that of a modern tiger. This thing was so big and so strong it could have picked a person up and flown away with them. You wouldn't just have to keep the cat inside when the Haasts Eagle was around. You'd have to keep the whole family inside, and even then you might not be safe. From what scientists have been able to put together, the Haasts Eagle specialized in hunting the ancient moa on New Zealand's South Island. Moas could grow up to almost 12 feet or 3.6 meters tall, but that didn't stop the Haasts Eagle. It would grab the moa with its talons and literally crush its skull. That's all it took to kill the giant beast, at which point the Haasts Eagle could do whatever it felt like with the moa's remains. Thankfully, it usually just ate them. If you're wondering just how long ago this terrifying beast vanished off the face of the Earth, it was actually pretty recently. It was only between 500 and 600 years ago. The Maori of New Zealand lived alongside the Haasts Eagle, and they even hunted it. There have been anecdotal stories of the Haasts Eagle even preying on Maori children. 7. Xenocanthus. The Xenocanthus was a strange mixture between an eel, a shark, and a stingray. Technically, it was a type of shark that lived in the Devonian period and survived all the way until about 202 million years ago. That was when the Triassic ended. Fossils of this animal have been found all over the globe, meaning it was pretty widespread. But even though the Xenocanthus was technically a shark, it looked a lot more like a modern conger eel. It even swam like an eel and had a serpent-like body. It was really just one of the weirder sharks that came and went. But it had one very special thing that would have made it terrifying to swimmers and surfers across the globe. As you may already know, stingrays are close relatives of sharks. In the case of the Xenocanthus, it actually had a spine jutting out from the back of its head that has been connected to the spines on stingrays. Scientists speculate it was probably venomous. The shark was too small to do any real damage with its teeth, only growing to a maximum of just under 7 feet, or 2.1 meters. But if it managed to stab you with a backwards unicorn horn on its head, there's a good chance you would have been poisoned. Did you know that stingrays were close relatives of sharks? Or did that fact just shock you? Let me know in the comments below, and if you're liking this video, be sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe buttons if you haven't already. Number 6. Diprotodon. This one's a personal favorite. The Diprotodon was a giant wombat. It was actually the biggest marsupial that ever walked the earth. The adult male could grow up to 10 feet or 3 meters from its head to its tail, with a maximum weight of about 3 tons or 6,000 pounds. That is a big wombat. It lived during the Pleistocene epoch, a time when lots of animals grew to preposterous sizes. The Diprotodon had a pouch, it was about the size of a rhinoceros, and it only ever ate plants. It was also contained to Australia. The remains of this ancient beast have been found all over the country, suggesting continental distribution. They would have lived everywhere that kangaroos live today. But they were significantly bigger. Even the biggest kangaroo only grows to be around 200 pounds or 90 kilos, meaning the Diprotodon could have stepped on it like a bug. The Diprotodon lived as recently as 2 million years ago. It was so big that it had basically no predators other than humans, meaning it was free to do whatever it wanted. However, the babies and juveniles would sometimes become the prey of the even more terrifying Thylacoleo, also known as the marsupial lion. The babies may also have been eaten by giant lizards known as Megalania, and even the quincana, an even more giant Australian crocodile. In other words, Australia was and always will be a terrifying place filled with terrifying monsters. 5. Megapiranha. The megapiranha was exactly what the name suggests. It was a giant piranha. If you think swarms of ordinary piranha are terrifying, imagine being caught in a lake or river with piranha that were about 3 feet or 1 meter long each. These prehistoric monsters were about 3 times the size of modern piranhas. They also had the strongest bites out of any fish relative to their size. This doesn't mean they could bite harder than other fish. What it means is that pound for pound, the megapiranha could bite with more force than even the legendary megalodon. They had teeth shaped like triangular blades serrated like steak knives, which they probably used for slicing apart soft flesh and meat. However, there haven't been many specimens found for scientists to paint a clear picture. According to National Geographic, only 1 fossil has been found, and it was only part of the megapiranha's upper jaw. Still, scientists were able to do their scientist magic and put together a lifelike model of the beast and how hard it could bite. Considering a normal piranha can bite with 30 times its weight, the megapiranha could probably do the same. Luckily for everyone alive today, the megapiranha went extinct somewhere around 5 million years ago. They lived in Argentina, most likely in lakes and rivers. And if you were wondering why they can bite so hard, it's because they had muscles taking up the entire space behind their eyes and mouth, with all those muscles working together to snap the teeth with incredible force. Number 4. Machamposaurus rex. Speaking of terrifying marine monsters, a skull was found in Tunisia that led scientists to a new species of crocodile. And yes, it is the biggest ever identified. It's called the Machamposaurus rex, and it had teeth shaped like bullets that it used to crush its prey and rip unsuspecting animals to shreds. The study of the animal was done by the University of Alberta. They discovered that the Machamposaurus rex was the largest of the crocodiles that lived alongside the dinosaurs, and it was also the last surviving species of crocodile from the age of the dinosaurs. To put the size into perspective, it had a skull that measured 5 feet or 1.5 meters long on its own, with its full body measuring over 35 feet. That's one big crocodile. The crocodile lived 130 million years ago throughout much of northern Africa and what is today England. Back then, Europe was literally swarmed with crocodiles. However, they began to slowly go extinct as the geography changed and their habitats across Europe were lost. It was the Machamposaurus rex that made its last stand in the little remaining sea of North America before it too went extinct. And to give you one last idea of just how truly big this crocodile was, the skull found by Italian researchers at a dig near Tunis in 2014 was 5.5 feet or 1.6 meters long, bigger than that of a T-Rex. 3. Jaegerlopterus. At the beginning of this video, we met a giant shrimp that was 6 feet or 1.8 meters long and could have easily eaten anybody who got in its way. Now it's time to look at a giant sea scorpion that measured nearly 8 feet or 2.4 meters long. This huge monster had a claw that could easily decapitate a human head. It was the largest arthropod in the world, living 400 million years ago through the lakes and rivers of the Earth, but likely never ventured into the oceans. It would have lived with other sea scorpions and prehistoric fish. It also hunted using ambush techniques. It would wait for an animal to get near enough that it could reach out one of its claws and boom, shred it to pieces. The claw of the giant sea scorpion was recently found in Germany. Unlike crabs and lobsters that only have a single pinching claw, the sea scorpion had two. It was basically the Edward Scissorhands of the water. Nobody is sure why these terrible monsters grew to be so big, but one theory is that they had to get bigger and bigger as the fish around them got bigger and bigger too. And then they had to get meaner and deadlier as the ancient fish also began growing armor. These giant scorpions were top predators until vertebrates arrived, at which point the scorpions lost their dominance and would eventually go extinct. Number 2. Direwolves. As cool as it may sound to have a bunch of direwolves running around like some kind of Game of Thrones realm, the truth is that it probably wouldn't be that great. Direwolves were massive predators that hunted in packs and were significantly more dangerous than the wolves of today. They were bigger, more muscled, and maybe even more aggressive. The last direwolf went extinct around 13,000 years ago, along with the saber-toothed tiger and the cave bear, and to be honest, we may be better off without them. But here's something interesting. Scientists from Durham University in the UK recently extracted DNA from direwolf fossils dating back around 50,000 years. They wanted to see just how closely related grey wolves are to direwolves. Results showed the two species are not actually as closely related as previously thought. Instead, they diverged genetically 5.7 million years ago from a common ancestor. The research team says both wolf species evolved similarly because of similar lifestyles, with grey wolves developing in Eurasia while direwolves grew big and mean in America. Number 1. Giant penguin. Last but not least, researchers have just discovered something you may have mixed feelings about. As it turns out, there were penguins that once roamed the Earth bigger than people. There was a whole race of gigantic penguins the size of an average human being. Fossilized remains of this prehistoric monster penguin were discovered in New Zealand back in 2018 by amateur paleontologist Lee Love. The huge penguins lived between 66 and 56 million years ago and boasted an average height of 5 foot and 3 inches, or 1.6 meters. In comparison, the great big emperor penguin of today is only a maximum of 3 feet and 11 inches. The Titanic penguin also weighed around 176 pounds, or 80 kilos. While this might not seem immediately horrifying, it would be for people living in New Zealand where these monster penguins once called home. Imagine if your neighbor was a penguin that could eat your kids. Not that it would, but still, it's not something you want to risk. These penguins were actually quite a bit different from those that are still around today. First of all, the makeup of their leg bones suggests that they couldn't stand yet. They were more likely to be powerful swimmers, not the adorable waddlers we recognize today. But this has caused quite a bit of an issue for paleontologists who can't quite figure out if the penguin evolved to swim or evolved to stand. They still don't know which one came first. Thanks for watching. Which of these prehistoric beasts scares you the most? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to hit subscribe for more awesome videos like these. See you next time. Bye!